Work management platforms. Ugh, endless onboarding, IT bottlenecks, admin requests. But what if things were different?
We found love in an open space.
Monday.com is different. No lengthy onboarding. Beautiful reports in minutes. Custom workflows you can build on your own. Easy to use prompt-free AI. Turns out you can love a work management platform. Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use.
Oh, we have a very special episode here. We're going to be 2-on-1 with Larry Flick, which is probably not the first time for this elder statesman of faggotry right here on RulaskaThoughts. Cue the sniper girl. We're gonna take Larry around the world and Robert will flirt with him. Because Robert likes older men. Cue the sniper girl. Hey everyone, welcome to RulaskaThoughts, a show where three gay men just bitch and bitch and bitch about a show about drag queens, but we do it on a deeper level. Let's just recap. And I do it with my podcast boyfriend. He's the one, the only, the elderly, Mr. Roberto Mata. Hello, Robert.
Oh, my back.
Girl, don't. Because I made a doctor's appointment today because I have posterior tibular tendonitis. And now I have a cyst in the bottom of my foot where the ankle meets the foot. And I'm like, well.
Oh, so you can't walk? You can't go to the gym anymore, kitten?
No, I can't. But my trainer, Robert's going to help me. Speaking of, he is the gay icon, and we're going to get into it with him. He's the one. He's one-on-one with Larry Flick. That's where you know him from. What was the name of the show on Outcast on Sirius XM Radio, Larry?
It was OutQ, and it was called The Morning Jolt.
Oh, I'm on Outcast. The Morning Jolt. That's right. I don't know if Rob doesn't know this.
OutQ is an out queer.
Were you there when Sirius started? Is that where OutQ came from?
I was there. I joined Sirius 1 year, 13 months after Sirius started.
Yeah.
And I replaced a host who was accused of making deals with people in exchange for guest appearances on the air. And I was actually brought on to be a sidekick.
Oh, really?
And I took over like a good queen should.
All about Eve. All about Larry.
It was like 18 years. I was there for
Robert,
18 years.
that's an old movie with Betty Davis and I think Ann Baxter's in it.
Oh my God! Do we have
I'm
to
familiar, thank you.
Oh, Larry, don't.
No,
This has been a fight with this queen for years now. You know, about
must
the
we
old
dig
movies
that back
and
up?
doesn't know all about Eve and shit like that. And
Listen, it's part of our
do know all
history.
about
It's
you.
part of your legacy. Know your history.
speaking of history, she's
dear.
been there on the front lines, front row seat to it all. Robert's favorite era, the 80s AIDS gays.
Oh yeah. That's when I came of age, if you will, in the 80s. Yeah, I was part of the ACT UP generation, and I was very lucky. I got to work shoulder to shoulder and side by side with some of the great activists in queer history, like Larry Kramer and Mel Sharon, and so many of them. And I was grateful. I am grateful to have learned so much from them that I take seriously carrying on into the future, because unfortunately none of them are here anymore.
But let me ask you this question. You don't have to name names, but I know you might name at least one.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these icons that you knew, the gay rights icons that were like, oh my God, they're so great. And maybe they did do great things, but then on a personal level, they were just complete fucking cunts.
Well, Larry Kramer was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I had intense hero worship of him, and he could be a real douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, you know, he gave so much to our population of people that you could forgive him. But yeah, he was difficult.
Sounds like a Robert describes me, but he doesn't have the hero worship. It's just that I'm a difficult douchebag.
Since when have I said you've given so much to the community?
Oh, that's true too. Now, Robert, as a fan of the 80s AIDS gays,
Yeah, I wrote Pose,
yeah, is Larry could have written Pose. Larry was in Larry when you
I
watched
was there,
Pose.
darling.
Yeah.
I was there, darling.
I wrote Angels in America. I wrote Rent.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very prolific.
Is there a question you wanted to always ask one of these New York 80s AIDS gays? He knew RuPaul, he knew Madonna, he knew Michelle
I
Visage.
actually knew Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent, and I knew I know Tony Kushner.
He's a fraud. This is
Who's the fraud?
uncharacteristically
Wait. I think you broke up, Robert. Who's a fraud?
the fool who's claiming to have written Rent when I obviously
Oh, I
did
see.
so.
The joke is Larry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I think I looked at Larry's face and it sounded like you called him a fraud.
I was like, she was about to go there.
I know. I saw it.
Josephina, you saw it, right? You saw
I saw the
pulling
untucked
my
moment.
earrings off, Vaselining my hair back, like we do.
All right, Robert. So go ahead.
Uncharacteristically serious, but just because I was just talking about this yesterday, it seems inevitable. The writing's on the wall that PrEP is going to be repealed from the way that it's been subsidized by the government from the last decade or so. So that in essence means that we're probably hurtling towards a new AIDS crisis. What wisdom can you impart upon my generation and the generation below who doesn't have the natural sense of responsibility or fear about another AIDS crisis? Like, what are we supposed to do? What lessons can be learned?
The first thing that I would say to young men in particular is that now is when you acknowledge that PrEP wasn't the silver bullet anyway. That going to bareback parties or barebacking in your personal life does not and being on PrEP does not prevent other STDs. And if you do your research, the number of cases of syphilis are skyrocketing. Number of cases of chlamydia are skyrocketing. So men are still passing sexually transmitted diseases to one another. They're just not necessarily transmitting HIV to one another. So maybe it's time to just pull back, and reconsider. But I think now is a good time for activism in a different way. I was just telling you how I thought Larry Kramer could be a real asshole sometimes, but he led the charge for a generation of us fags and dykes to get what we needed. I came of age under the presidency of Ronald Reagan, who in some ways is worse than Trump because he denied the very existence of HIV and AIDS. At least Donald Trump acknowledges that it exists. Ronald Reagan for 8 years said, no, you're making this up. So it's time to get your activism on. It's time to get back, get off your phones and get on the streets. It's time to think before you stick it in. I don't think you should panic, but I think you need to get smarter and maybe crack open a history book about how men like Larry Kramer, women, it's time to band together with women, because to be completely honest with you, if it were not for women, 3 to 4 times more men would have died. It was women who kept the activism of AIDS awareness and relief alive when men were too weak, physically too weak. And, and I will argue that if it were reverse, gay men would not have done the same thing for women.
I'd be arguing with you.
So I think it's time for the young generation to seek out the old fags like me, as 61 and proud of my age and proud to be part of the active generation, to get some lessons. Get some lessons on how we did it and how those who didn't survive did it. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine because medicine exists. It's not a full step back to the days of of Larry Kramer, but it will be a step back to the days when PrEP was a rich white gay man's drug, which is what it was when it first came into circulation. Which is why I never, ever, ever, when I was single, let someone tell me I'm on PrEP, let's bareback, because first of all, I would look at him and I would say, quite frankly, you look too poor to get it. You look too poor. You can't afford that shit.
Sometimes it's real.
You were not telling me with your secretary at the fucking, Piggly Wiggly that you can afford PrEP. No, sorry, darling. And I know that at, Planned Parenthood, they're giving you condoms and that's it. So, yeah, we're going to go back to those days where people are saying they're on PrEP and they're not. Honey, back in the day, let me give you a little picture this.
Sicily.
You have met this man, not on Grindr because we didn't have anything called the Grindr. You pick him up at the Eagle
Vaseline Alley,
and that motherfucker had better have his blood tests on paper printed out in his back pocket to go, and then you be checking it before you put that dick in you.
Mm-hmm. I did that when I was like 19 and 20, before everyone got on PrEP, back when calling someone a Truvada whore was some kind of a pejorative. Like, people would have their recent test results like on a little cutout.
Yeah, or you would have them laminated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not even lying. We had them laminated. There was also, I'm from the era where, the period of time where, before the protease inhibitors, where I'm a big berry type of guy, and I was quite interesting to the twinks of the day, because that meant I wasn't wasting, which meant I wasn't sick.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nonsense, because lots of fat guys get HIV as well. But, my point being, it's time for some fresh education and some new activism. Y'all will be fine.
You hear that, Josito?
I thought you were going to ask what Madonna was like.
I don't give a fuck about Madonna. Open your heart to me. Shut up.
She's kind of fabulous.
Yeah. All right. On that note, why don't we take a break? And when we come back, speaking of a disease on gay men, we're going to talk about Snatch Game.
From ADT comes Trusted Neighbor, the new standard in home access. Through the ADT Plus app, easily grant and automate event-based or scheduled access for neighbors, friends, and helpers. Notify trusted individuals of events like alarms or packages, and set access windows for planned guests or even the dog walker without interrupting your day. Visit ADT.com. When every second counts, count on ADT. Requires ADT Complete Pro monitoring plan and compatible devices. Copyright 2025 ADT LLC. All rights reserved.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
We are back. Now we are going to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race, and we have our drag spurt That's what Larry used to call me, our drag expert. We have our drag expert, Larry Flick, on. Oh, Larry, let me tell you something really fast, because I'm not going to be, I'm going to be moderating more. But Larry doesn't even know this. But I have a subscription arm of, and I don't know if Robert's put this together. We have a subscription arm of this, and we have a Discord, like a message board. And there's different channels for different things, and there's a whole porn section, okay, called the Porn Decor Lounge. Yeah, the Porn Decor. The Porn Decor Lounge, and there's different categories, and there's a special folder just for porn movies. Okay, and people post porn movies, and I call it Larry Flicks, but I put FLIXXX. And so we have the name of the folder.
You know what? And it feels correct.
It does feel correct. Larry
If
Flicks.
it can't be a university library.
Exactly. I'll take it.
Yeah. Which I don't know. And Larry, you can tell me to cut this out later. But Robert, I don't know if you know that Larry was also. How many porns were you in, Larry?
I was in one movie, and I did a whole. I had an alter ego named Luke Ryder for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And you don't have to cut that out because I love Luke. Luke was a fun guy. I did one movie. I used to be on the Bear pageant circuit. So I was Mr. New York City Bear 2001. Showing her age again. And I was Mr. DC Bear Invader 2003. And yes, I got scouted to do magazines that don't exist anymore, unfortunately. So I did a lot of magazine modeling. I did one movie, and I did 3 calendars. Oh, and I had a website, and I sold my underwear.
What are your
months? By the way, the name of the movie was too poor for prep. The name of the
movie was called Decadent Bears. It's not very good, but yes.
Sounds decadent.
It is. And it's me with a little cubby guy. And it's before I had so many scars from surgeries and accidents and stuff. So, yeah. It was good. It was fun. Such a fun time. Oh, my God. It was the greatest.
Okay, so let's talk about this episode here. Snatch Game episode 7, season 17. That means we've had 16 of these Snatch Games.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah, but Larry, this is your first time on the show. Hopefully not your last. And I want to get so far, heretofore, a word I've used for some reason 5 times in podcasts this week. What is your opinion on the season, on the cast, and then we'll work down the Snatch Game.
Okay. I think, you know that I am a Drag Race superfan. So any kind of criticism I make comes not from a place of like, oh, I hate this show. I love this show. I love me some drag. I was loving me some drag long before it became a TV show because I'm a New York City born and bred queen. Mm-hmm. And RuPaul and I were very good friends long before there was a show called Drag Race.
Yeah.
So I that's my kind of like, before I start saying critical things and people start saying, oh, she's just a hater. I'm actually not a hater.
I'm a hater.
But what?
I'm a hater.
Oh, wait.
I'll fill in
Girl, for you are a hater. You were born a hater. But no, I'm just saying because I love the show and I love drag. And I think the show has changed. I was thinking about this because I haven't talked about Drag Race to anybody in a very long time. So I was thinking about this morning and thinking, you know what the problem with Drag Race is now? And I watch the show, never miss an episode, watch it every time, every season. But it has gone into the same realm as American Idol. Remember when American Idol first started airing and you had Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood and Doherty and Jennifer Hudson, and it was a game changer because it impacted the music business and it created stars. And then it became a TV show as opposed to a vehicle for future celebrities. Drag Race has become American Idol, and that it's a TV show. And most of the queens will evaporate into their local club scenes after the show is done because there are now too many of them out in the wild, and there are too many queens for not enough venues. And, Drag Race started as a place for queens who were doing drag because they had to do drag. It was the only thing. It was their expression of art. It was their expression of gender. It was expression of who they were as human beings. Drag Race as a TV show turned drag into a vocation, into a career option, into like, well, I'm not really a great singer. I'm not really a great actor.
Lana Del Rey?
But I look cute in lipstick, and
Oh, not her.
I'm not really that funny, but I got a good wig, and I could just be like those girls on Drag Race. And so, I'm sitting here right now looking at like a composite of photos of the queens from this season. And I'm looking at it, because the queens, and I've watched every second, these queens have not differentiated themselves enough for me to remember their names. And they now fill prototypes. So you have Acacia Forgot, who in all of her photos looks like Nina West. You have Crystal Envy, who looks a lot like Cameron Michaels. You have On Your Nerves, who looks like Kennedy Davenport. You have Lucky Stars, who looks like, who was that El DeBarge queen a few years ago?
Crystal
Method.
Yeah, like the crafty queen, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have, Sam Starr, who's kind of like Trinity, and isn't she her drag daughter?
Yeah.
And then you have, what's her name here? Susie Toots, who's kind of like Plasma, who was kind of like Jinx Monsoon. So they're filling prototypes. There's not a lot of originality. They're lovely people.
Meh.
They seem fine. They seem fun. I'm enjoying them, and I'm enjoying the show. But it's a TV show now. I don't feel like I need to watch the show and then watch it again and then watch it again like I used to obsessively do, because I used to do that thinking, well, first of all, the show is really great. Second of all, I need to know who these queens are because they're going to be stars. And it's up to me to kind of be able to pick the ones I really love. Baby, none of these people are going to be stars. I am so sorry. I promise I will tip you if you play my local bar. But a nan queen of this cast are going to be famous. If Willow Pill, who? What year was she on? I don't know.
Don't turn me up.
What year was she? I couldn't tell you. Who won last year?
That was Nymphia, who I also think is something of a non-entity.
See, who? And I watched every second of the show. It's become American Idol, which became The Voice, it's just another TV show. It's Project Runway. It's America's Next Top Model. It's a TV show now, and it's not a star-making machine anymore.
I'm going to jump in here. For a second because, Crystal Envy went home this week, and you're bringing up a point that leads me. I'm stealing a comment from someone on our message board Tom Bombs, a listener, Tom Bombs, said that he thought Crystal Envy, which speaks to your point, Larry, was eliminated because she's been coasting and doing just fine, and they've been wanting to get rid of her. And this was their one chance because they couldn't guarantee she'd be bottom worthy again. Whereas they know Lana Del Rey will just fuck up next week, and then they can get rid of her then.
And here's the thing, and I'm gonna go there, but there's not enough Black queens on the series this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's hold on to the Black queens for as long as we can, and maybe they'll get it together. Also, Lana Del Rey, or whatever her name is she's a Nepo baby, right? Isn't she Lux Noir's daughter? Well, that's a good enough reason to keep her around for a while, because Lux Noir is a beloved part of the Drag Race family.
Beloved? I think she's tolerated by some.
Well, maybe from the production he's talking about. I don't know.
I think the queens like Lux, and I think the the hierarchy of the Drag Race family, the Monets and Bianca, they like Lux a lot. They seem to, and I think Lux is sort of like a Simone type queen, right? Where she's very fashion, and I think there's something kind of sweet about her. I've always really liked Lux, but I think to me, Lana Lana is kind of like a hybrid of Lux, but not as good as Lux. Naomi Smalls, but nowhere near as good as she's kind of like a B level. I think that Lana Sheree or whatever, she's going to be good on All Stars. They'll bring her back because she's a lovely queen and a lovely person, but she's just not fully baked yet. And you need to have a queen who's going to there are a lot of people who still do race counting and nepo counting, and there's a lot of bean counting in the Reddit drag world. But there is, that.
Yeah. So Larry, you've brought up some really good points. Robert, Larry has given you a lot to feed on, Piggy. What do you have to say? I'm trying to help Jules with her making it a thing. What do you have to say? Do you have any responses to anything Larry just said? He gave a lot for you here to chew on.
I think some offshoots. I also like Lux. I have a high tolerance for intolerable people. I recognize why people bounce off of her. I think she does the absolute most online. Like, she kind of takes the Twitter character limit as a challenge, and her reads are kind of desperate because she fills all the space. I don't think she's ever heard the term brevity's the soul of wit. And I'm a verbose bitch. And if I'm noticing it, something's wrong. So she also overestimates her position in the drag world, I think. And that's rubbed off on Lana, who expected to be received in the same way. I do think she's a lovely person. I actually feel awful that she's getting raked over the coals right now because, God, like, the internet has review bombed this episode, not because anyone gave a fuck about Crystal Envy, because let's be serious, no one did, but just because they hate the fact that Lana Gervais is still there and that the rigor is so strong. I think it's sitting at like a 3.5 stars out of 10 right now because the girls are mad at Lana existing still. And I feel bad for her.
And there was a point the previous week where I thought it was going to be a double elimination because the lip sync to that Olivia Rodrigo song it would have been a double elimination in season 6, 7, or 8 because it just wasn't there. Neither of them knew the words. Neither of them really felt the vibe. They just kind of walked through it. And I've seen, Joe, as a drag race historian, there have been double eliminations for way better lip syncs than that one. So that's why I was like, why is Lana still here? Oh, she's still here because she's a nepo baby, and they are trying to not make it look like a cast of white girls yet.
Robert, do you have any else? We're going to move on to the actual Snatch Game, but I don't know if you have any thoughts before that.
I mean, I think that everything Larry said is correct. I would add on that beyond just, I think, maybe trying to keep the cast from getting too white, they also had just had 2 non-eliminations with the Badunkadunk tank, and girls have to go home. I do wish they made it a double elimination, though. They're just trying to meet their episode count desperately.
It's way too many episodes. We need to go back to season 8. Remember season 8, Joe? That was a short season.
Yeah, it was short.
That was so quick.
They got in, they got out. It worked.
I mean, I've said a million times I'm a bigger fan of shorter episodes for sure. So I think a season is fine also.
I like the longer episodes, but I like a shorter season.
Got it. I think I'd go the opposite route. Shorter episodes, longer season.
Because I like getting to know the queens. And I like the fact that Untucked has become a little bit more ratchet.
I haven't heard that word in so long.
This season than it has been in previous years. It's a little bit more real than it has been in previous seasons. And so I'm kind of like, because I stopped watching Untucked for a few years because it was just like,
same.
Drag the guest judge back. We love each other. Come back. Blah, blah, blah. And then I read online that, they're really going for each other during Untucked. So I started to watch it and I thought, okay, well, at least there's, out of a 30-minute or 26-minute show, there's about 10 good minutes of content before they drag the guest judge back for 5 seconds.
Okay, let's talk about this Snatch Game. I personally think it's up there with one of the worst Snatch Games. And some people judge worst Snatch Game, like they'll often talk about season 4. I think season 4 is a great Snatch Game, right? Because
Oh my God, iconic.
Kenya farting in her hand.
Iconic.
Yeah. But this was just, it reminded me of the Deja Sky Snatch Game. I don't know what season she was on. I don't know
14.
anything. 14, which was a horrible Snatch Game where it's just forgettable and boring. I saw that Shea Coulee said online that she thinks there's someone to make a YouTube masterclass on how to make a Snatch Game character. And I don't know. I want to get, let's go with Robert first. Robert, what were your thoughts on Snatch Game? Give us your thoughts here, and then we'll go to Larry.
I mean, Snatch Game has been awful for the longest. We've lost that skill probably around, I think season 10 was probably the last adequate Snatch Game we've had. Mm-hmm. Some people seem to really foam at the mouth for Gottmik's Paris Hilton and thought that it saved the format. I really personally didn't live, but whatever. I think it's been the pits for the longest, so I'm not surprised when Snatch Game's bad. I don't know why people are shocked. Like it's been the pivotal moment of the season for all this time, so it's a fixture. We need it. Let's continue, but let's not go into it pretending like it's separating the chaff from the top anymore. Now it's just who can barely eke by. Granted, I did enjoy Eddie Murphy more than you and Nathan did, but I guess we'll talk about that in a bit.
So did that trans prostitute.
Well,
that should have gone in there. Yes, it's a good critique.
Larry?
Well, I think that there are very few years where someone doesn't say this is the worst Snatch Game in history, because they're usually pretty bad. As a rule, Snatch Game is kind of crap. And so that's what makes Jinx Monsoon and Bianca Del Rio and, even Gia Good when she did the robot. Remember that? That was brilliant.
Personally, I hated it, but
I've never been a big fan of Gia Good, but I just thought it was, this is really clever. But as a rule, it's not. And the thing is, it's not supposed to be good. See, this is where generational shifts start to come into play. Because I would gather, let me ask you this, and this is not meant to either embarrass you or insult you or anything like that. Do you know what Snatch Game is based on?
Well, Match Game.
But wait, have you ever seen actual Match Game?
I have gone back and seen some YouTube clips. For context.
Okay, so then you're like a rare person of your age who knows that, because the average person your age doesn't know what it means. And so, Match Game, it's like a boozy game. It's supposed to be a bit of a train wreck. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's supposed to be people who are half lit saying stupid things, and half of it's funny, most of it's not. But we're all lit, so we're all just kind of getting through it. And so that's why it never bothers me when it's not precise. The generational problem is there are two things I don't like about the way Snatch Game has evolved. First of all, the queens in the last 5 to 7 years have their celebrity references are not as good as they used to be. So
no more fucking Trisha Paytas, please.
Well, I mean, which is just really like generic pageant mom. But, I don't think that influencers should qualify as celebrities. I don't think other drag queens should qualify as other celebrities. And I'm going to be that bitch who says it's called Snatch for a reason. Tuck your dick and stop imitating them. Thank you.
This gender essentialism, mama.
I know, but...
No, I get the perspective, though.
I'm old school. If you want to do, but that's not to say that, trans people, I just, here's my problem. If you're doing something that's really wild and out there, like a caveman or like Cupid, which were great ideas, I just, to me, first of all, I thought Anya's Eddie Murphy felt like Kennedy's Little Richard without the fun wig. I think Anya even did woo a couple times. all that was missing was shut up. It was Anya imitating Kennedy, imitating Little Richard. Let's just be honest.
I can see the through line.
And Anya's going to have the same trajectory as Kennedy. She's going to get really close, and then they're going to axe that bitch out and give it to one of the white girls. That's it.
Robert, what do you think of all this?
I see the through line. I think that
And
Kennedy
I love me some Anya, by the way.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. I'm trying to think of what white girl they would give it to because they haven't really been highlighting any of them. Maybe they're trying to do something with Sam. They live for Sam's type of drag no matter what because it's the most like boring, hegemonic, safe type of drag. So Rue's always going to love it. But
did you watch UK All-Star UK drag race? Well, to me, the answer lies in that final where it came down to Lavoie and what was that other queen's name? What was her?
Cayenne?
Right. Lavoie won the show, but it went to the Sharon Needles prototype, and so it's just going to go to either Lexi or Arietti.
Arietti,
who's Latino?
I mean, it would be.
It's going to go to the edgy young queen. Not going to go to the pageant girl because they do not like crowning pageant girls. They made Trinity the Tuck suck Rue's dick for 5 years before they finally gave it to her, and they only gave it to her halfway. And they are kind of not looking to give it to old school queens. Otherwise, I would say it's Susie Toots to win. But Lexi is giving me Violet Chachki energy.
But you don't see them building. Hold on. Speaking of through line, speaking of prototypes and everything, you don't see them building a sort of season 5 echo here with the RulaskaThoughts versus Jinx with this Arietti versus a Susie Toot.
It could be. I mean, personally, my three favorites, my top three, are Anya, Lexi, and Susie. That would be my perfect top three. And of those three, I would give it to Anya, but it's not going to happen.
Robert, what do you say about this?
I do think that's exactly what the show wants you to think. I share the same opinion down to the number, down to the winner. But I also think we're feeding into the show's narrative there.
Could be. It could be. But I think that it's a very interesting look to give it to the... Let's put it this way. I think that they had to give out, neck rubs to all of those judges to find a reason to not put Lexi in the bottom. Because they were craning their necks.
Oh, with that Gilbert Gottfried was horrible.
No. And she should have been in the bottom with that tarp thing the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're trying to cast her as the fashion queen, right?
And the trans angel.
Exactly. So, and she's got, I love me some Lexi. She cracks me up. She reminds me of a friend, a cisgender woman that I spent years and years and years hanging with. And so I see Lexi and I see my friend Connie, and I just go, ooh, I miss Connie.
Connie Chung?
No.
Love Connie?
Yeah, was it Love Connie, the drag
No,
girl?
we love her.
Who's always waiting in the wings?
Yeah,
with
for
her
a cameo.
hairy chest.
Oh yeah, she must live in Silmar or something like that.
She has a studio out there.
Yeah. I think she and Willem are like across the street from World of Wonder every day.
I think Willem took the
Willem's
substance
protesting.
from Love Connie.
Yeah,
but I think that they just love Lexi, and they're trying to build a storyline for her. And she had 2 weeks in a row where she should have been in the bottom, and her Gilbert got. There was nothing. No, they made that up. They made the critiques for Lexi up. She should have been in the bottom. Just like. I'm going to show my ignorance. Was it Jules who did the caveman?
Yeah, Bigfoot. Miss
Jules
Bigfoot
was robbed. She was the winner of that Snatch Game.
Speaking of Rob, What did you think of Lexi? What did you think of Jules, Robert?
Well, I'm the same age as Lexi, and I think it's hilarious that her reference point for Gilbert Gottfried was fucking Iago the parrot in Aladdin. And she didn't do anything else. Like she had never heard any of Gilbert Gottfried's like stand up or other appearances, you know? Like I'm just gonna be the parrot from Aladdin. What? Very odd choice. Whatever. And she couldn't even do that. She couldn't even do that. So I do find it interesting, Larry, that in all of your personal rules for Snatch Game, what you like and don't like, you seem to enjoy made-up fictional characters, which seems to be a controversial point for the fandom. I personally don't care for the fictional characters. Generally speaking, Jules did a good job with it, but I think it removes entirely the impersonation element of the challenge, which isn't the most important thing, but it is still an element.
I think, and you know, and you're absolutely right. And what I will say is, I'd much rather see Caveman over a YouTube star,
sure,
whom I have to then go Google, because you know one of the most iconic Snatch Game characters in the last 5 years was Trinity doing the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Which was basically just an imitation of Leslie Jordan. If it were Snatch Game as a purist of the purist fan of the feature, it would just be, them doing celebrity impersonations,
female ones at that.
And I think, but just to jump in, the other reason why I have a problem with like the male characters is that this is a show that doesn't embrace drag kings.
True.
So why is it okay to do dudes during? It's just a mess, If you want to play with gender, give me some drag kings. I would live for some drag kings on the show. It would completely refresh and rejuvenate this show. But they're not doing that, right? They're insisting on having men or transgender or gender fluid or queer identify, whatever version of the spectrum that they're choosing to identify, which is beautiful, by the way. But they're still insisting that they dress like women for the most part, except when they're imitating celebrities in this one feature. It's just contradictory.
Yeah, it's inconsistent for sure.
I want to jump in here for a second because I think what happened in this episode, one thing about this Snatch Game is I think it's pivotal because Susie Toot and Untucked gives away what we're talking about, which is she didn't care what happened in the room. At least she says this, right? Because she knew that the theater faggots at home would live for her Ellen Green. Now, I haven't seen that live up to it, but what I'm saying though is if you really want to win Snatch Game, you're not doing Trisha Paytas because RuPaul doesn't know who the fuck that is. You're doing Ruth Buzzy if you want to win the Snatch Game.
Or you're doing Trisha, whatever her last name is, and saying ridiculous things that make me laugh.
I've always said that if I were to go on Snatch Game, I would do, and I can't believe no one's done this, Delta dressed as this for one of her very Delta episodes, but I would do Agnes Moorehead as Endora from Bewitched.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
That would win. It would win, hands down. It would kill. It would crush. She's already a gay icon. She's kind of forgotten. Only Larry and I know who that is on this panel.
I know the show, but not the names. Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm telling you, Endora was a drag queen before the drag queen.
I mean, and she turned out to be a lesbian who was not out at the time.
Oh, I didn't know Agnes Moorehead was a lesbian.
See, stick with your nana here.
I love this multi-generational
that was the queerest
exchange.
cast in TV history.
Oh yeah, because Darren was a gay.
Yeah.
Was Elizabeth Montgomery gay?
No, but she was an AIDS activist in her time.
Oh, she
but
was.
Paul Lynde was on the show.
Yes.
Gay. Dr. Van Bay.
He was a gay?
Gay. Agnes Moorehead. Gay. The second Darren was gay.
Well, personally, I think anyone who's desperate to be seen on camera is a little bit gay. So
but the second Darren was gay. The first Darren was straight identified. And
Tabitha was trans.
Tabitha was what? Trans, you're so funny. And yet Elizabeth Montgomery turned out to be a massive, and she fought for all those actors to get on the show. Huge gay activist before it was a thing. And a huge AIDS activist before in her later years.
Robert's an age activist. He's always fighting for us, me and you, Larry, to get more things done.
Can we just say, as much as I love Susie, and I love Susie, our Snatch Game was terrible.
Horrible. It was horrible.
It was pretty bad.
I was so disappointed. I was expecting something glorious. It was awful.
Robert, what'd you think?
It just reminded me of how fucking cute Rick Moranis was in that movie. That's all I could think about every time it cut to her. I was like, where's Ricky? Show me my mans. I needed to be out of her characterization. It was bad. Who gives a fuck about Sithis?
Yeah, I didn't get that. And also Lana Del Rey being so dumb. Like Rosa Parks as a character choice was brilliant.
Should have won.
Should have won. Anybody with half a brain could have won with Rosa Parks.
I would have given anything to see Bob the Drag Queen or Kennedy do Rosa Parks.
Even Simone, she did pretty well with Harriet Tubman.
Simone's great too.
Back.
Yes. Oh my god.
You know what? If someone was again our age, Larry. Oh, first of all, this would be a great character too. But also, they could have mixed it with Rosa Parks if they would have done. And I'll give the RuPaul time, which I know Larry will know. If they would have done Rosa Parks as Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son. What was that woman's name again? What was that actress?
LaWanda Page.
LaWanda Page, who
was on the first RuPaul album.
Yes, she's the opening voice on Supermodel. She's the one that tells the fake RuPaul story. That's LaWanda Page.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the deep magic.
God, man, if there was a black drag queen,
funniest woman ever.
Yeah, super dirty, super funny. I'm telling you, if you're a black drag queen, do LaWanda Page on Snatch Game as Aunt Esther, and you will win the fucking show.
Or go on and do Esther Roll as Florida from Good Times.
Oh, yes. Because somebody on Drag Race, I think Anya on an episode referenced it, I think on her RDR Live or something with the damn, right? Yeah. Yes, any sort of 1970s black reference. Oh, Mother Jefferson, or even the Weezy Jefferson. If you do any of those characters, you're winning.
You are winning. And here's the thing.
But they don't care about that.
But and the thing is, there. I will argue that they're 100% right. If you're going to go on RuPaul's Drag Race and you don't know how to sew, you should be eliminated within the first 2 weeks. But I would also say, if you're going to go on RuPaul's Drag Race and you don't have an understanding of pop culture in its historical arc, you probably shouldn't be on the show. Because
RuPaul said it herself one year.
If you go on there, you're not going to hear a Dua Lipa song. You're going to be singing to an old Paul Abdul, rickety number, and you're gonna, and if he doesn't know who you are, he is going to tune you out. And is that fair? It's a TV show, and guess whose show it is? You don't like that? Go start your own show.
But that's the thing, is the point I'm making is all they want to do is be safe and be a hit online. Robert, you would know this. You're a better drag expert than I am on this. Has there been a queen who was safe but was a meme queen from Snatch Game? Like they were just safe, but then they hit with the memes later?
Snatch Game is just not that memeable lately. An example's not coming to mind, unfortunately.
The last non-winner who was memeable was Alyssa All-Stars 2.
Yes, 100% correct.
But she actually had more meme quotes than who won that Snatch Game?
Alaska.
Alaska won.
Which gets quoted endlessly. Everyone can't wait to do the thing.
Yeah.
They're doing, I just told Nathan, they're doing, I don't know why they haven't done this in the US. They're doing a pretty stacked Snatch Game tour in Australia. And it has, Reese Nicholson's hosting, but Alaska's on it as Mae West. It's big drag stars doing their most iconic character in a Snatch Game performance live.
Oh, I would go see that.
I would go see that. Robert, let's go see that.
That sounds like an Alan Chuck cruise that I would love to go on.
Alan Chuck cruise, I heard, was out of business.
I know, which is so sad. I wanted to go on one. I didn't have money at the time.
I wanted
I
to go
heard
on
they
one
were
too.
horrible. I heard they were horrible.
Well, of course they were terrible.
Me and Larry would have fucked up the bar and then gone and howled.
We
at the
would have
show.
fucked up the bar.
Oh,
And
you
we
and
would
Larry
have
would
Sharon
a good time.
Needles like pinching people. Wasn't she like? Isn't that the cruise where Sharon Needles got into all that trouble?
Oh yes, with that
Probably.
little girl drag queen that she had with her.
It's probably when she originated that Caitlyn Jenner act that Trinity Taylor stole joke for joke.
And see, we would have been all in that, Robert, because Sharon and I were very, very, very tight back in the day.
Got it. Why didn't you save her from herself?
I tried. I legitimately, seriously, I actually remember being on a call with Chad, her now ex, and going, bitch, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing, baby?
There are stories that I can't tell, but I know from off the air with Larry. I'll just say this. I'll let Larry decide. Remember the drag queen who came in and asked to sing a song, but it was really bad? But I don't know if you released it.
Oh, you mean when Kennedy came on and she couldn't sing her song?
What genre was this song?
Well, she sang 2 songs, and oh my God, Kennedy Davenport is one of the greatest drag queens to ever put on a fucking wig.
For sure.
But baby, she thought she was a singer and she can't sing. And we booked her into our, because there was a point where Latrice Royale and Christopher Hamblin, Latrice's husband, were managing Kennedy. And this was at a time before All Stars. And Kennedy was like, I'm quitting drag. I'm going to go become a secretary. This is what she said to me in the halls at Sirius XM when she came up to do this. And I remember getting with Christopher and saying, we should do something nice for Kennedy. Let's have her up. We'll record her singing and it'll be good. And he was like all full of love and gratitude. And we put her in our most grand studio with a baby grand piano. And he was like playing it like, concert pianist. And she is like, the music of the night. It was so bad. I went to Christopher there and just said, baby, we're not using this, right? And he goes, please don't use it.
Poor girls.
Well, on that note, we're going to have to call it a day.
Oh, no.
Yep, Larry, you're going to have to come back. Really.
All you got to do is invite me.
We waited
all these years for an invite, you fucking stinky bitch.
No, you whore. I swear to God. No, Larry, you've been invited multiple times and you would like the day before be like,
she's afraid of me.
I'm sick.
I tell too much truth.
I'm sick. I mean,
he can't handle
Larry
the truth.
lives in Wales now. And
how decadent.
It's nighttime where I am.
Yeah, he lives in Wales. And first of all, he's like, now maybe this has changed since he left Sirius. But when he was at Sirius, this bitch went to bed at like 5 p.m., right?
No, I go to bed like a normal person.
Now you do.
Because I have a normal job now. Well, normal for me.
Yeah. And so they were like, oh, I'm too tired. Coffee.
Fuck off, Queen.
I got the AIDS. And I was like, girl, you don't have AIDS. You're too rich to have AIDS.
What? What is this?
You can afford that. You can afford that good prep. You got that good prep. That good rich white boy prep is what you got.
Rich white woman. How dare you?
That reminds me, I need to ask my doctor for multiple prescriptions of it.
Don't get me talking in the third person because then it'll get ugly.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week right here on RulaskaThoughts.
Bye.
Calling all Bravo fans, this is Emily. You might know me by my Instagram handle @BravoandBotox, and I'm here to tell you all about my podcast, The Bravo Papers. Let's face it, the drama never stops in the Bravo world, both on and off the shows, and sometimes it can be hard to keep up with it all, but don't worry, I've got you. I watch all the shows and follow all the gossip online. And every Monday, I gather it all up in one place, my podcast, and bring it to you in your weekly debrief of all the Bravo news, rumors, blinds, with my commentary, of course. Plus, I offer bonus episodes like deep dives into your favorite shows and Bravo celebrities and recaps of the BravoTV.com after shows. So listen and subscribe. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you're there so you don't miss out on any of the tea.